the Southern Ohio Farm Show. This is Gigi Neal of OSU Extension in Claremont County, agricultural and natural resources educator.
I'm James Morris, the Agricultural and Natural Resources and Community Development Educator for the Ohio State University Extension in Brown County.
Hello, my name is Richard Purdon. I'm with the Ohio State University Extension. I am the Ag and Natural Resource Educator for Adams County and the Community Development Educator for Adams County, Ohio.
And I'm Brooke Beam, the Ohio State University Extension Educator for Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Community Development in Highland County. And we will be your hosts for the Southern Ohio Farm Show.
My name is Tammy Jones. I'm a family consumer science educator with OSU Extension in Pike County. Today, I've got some ideas to help you healthy up your snacks, maybe during game time or during tailgating season even. Two twists I'm going to offer today. One are carrot chips. So carrot chips are just made from the pre-sliced chips in your produce section. So I have a container of them here. And the way to make the chips is simply by having a little bit of cooking spray and some pepper. And I'm going to show you two ways to do it. One, you could do these in an air fryer. Maybe you've had an air fryer and you haven't ventured out or tried many things. This is a super simple recipe that you could try in your air fryer. But I'm also going to show you how you could bake them in the oven if you don't have an air fryer. So the only thing I'm going to start out doing is I'm going to heat up my air fryer by turning it on. I turn it on the chip setting, which puts it at 400 degrees, and let it warm up. And while that's warming up, then I also prepared a baking sheet just with some cooking spray. So I'm going to start with that. I'm going to put my carrot chips out on my baking sheet. And they're already pre-cut, ready to go. So there's really no work involved other than just purchasing them and having them on hand. So as you can see, they're on my baking sheet. So then I'm going to take some cooking spray, whether you like to use canola oil or olive oil spray, whatever, just really lightly. Spray them. A little bit of pepper, just gonna sprinkle over the chips. Then I kind of just mix them up or toss them around to kind of get the coating so that the pepper can stick to them. And that's really all there is to it to get them ready to go in the oven. So I'm going to set that aside. So I've sprayed my the inside of my air fryer basket. You might have a basket, you might have a shelf where you actually put a tray in on it. So no matter what version you have, put some cooking spray down. Again, some more chips, some more carrot chips. Just arrange them. You don't want to stack them too deep, but they will they'll shrink up, so they'll get plenty of the airflow. I spray a little bit of cooking spray on top of those and some more pepper. And then I just always like to toss them in that basket or on that tray to kind of even out the spray and the pepper. And then I'm going to pop them in my air fryer. And just depending on the crunchiness or the tenderness of what you want as your end product, they do get just like chips. They get crispy. So anywhere from 8 to 10 minutes, and then I would check them to see if it's the desired texture you want. If you want a little bit longer, a little less, you can adjust it. So when it comes to putting them in the oven, I'm going to add something else to my baking sheet. So before I put them in there, I want to also share with you a way to make your own buffalo cauliflower. Very popular vegetable. Lots of people are enjoying finding ways to use cauliflower in a variety of ways. So I've created a recipe for a very simple buffalo cauliflower. Before I start with, I've got my chopped up fresh cauliflower that's been washed and cut into the desired sizes that I would like it. So they're bite sized, so they will be easy to pick up and eat as a bite sized snack. So I'm going to start with 1 cup of your favorite hot sauce, depending on your temperatures of the foods that you eat. If you're like it spicy or if you like a more medium, but whatever hot sauce you like. I have 1 tablespoon of just plain breadcrumbs, just kind of adds a little bit of glue to help it stick whenever you're adding the sauce to your cauliflower. I now have a half a teaspoon of paprika, just to add a little bit of flavor. And 1 teaspoon of dry ranch. So this is in the packets, the dry ranch that you often make dips and dressings out of, but it's just the dry, no liquid added to it. And then lastly, I have a half a teaspoon of black pepper. So just going to mix those up into a bowl. kind of make my sauce that's going to go on my cauliflower. We're going to just toss it in it. Depending on how many, so today I've cut up 1 head of cauliflower for this recipe. So the 1 cup of hot sauce would go with 1 head of cauliflower. If you needed to double it up, then you would just double the sauce and the other seasonings and the ingredients in that. So I'm going to be adding the cauliflower to my baking sheet with my carrot chips to bake them in the oven. They take about the same amount of time. They're going to take 20 to 25 minutes, but again, it's going to depend on your desired crunchiness or texture that you want of your cauliflower and your carrot chips. So I just add in some of the cauliflower. I'm going to do half and half. So I'm going to do half of my batch in the air fryer and I'm going to do the other half in the oven. So I'm splitting it. And I'm really just put that cauliflower in there, mix it up. It's going to be saucy, but you want it to make sure it gets, it's soaked in by all of the cauliflower. So you have to toss it a few times. And then again, I have cooking spray down on my baking sheet with my carrot chips. So I actually can do 2 things at once on this baking sheet. And then I am just going to put the cauliflower out onto my baking sheet. And this will be ready to go in the oven at 350 degrees, which I have preheated. And again, 20 to 25 minutes on these, just depends. Again, you want to check it for your desired texture and crispiness that you're going to get from the chips and the buffalo cauliflower. And then now I'm going to toss the remaining cauliflower in the remaining sauce. And then this will go in my air fryer once my carrot chips come out. Kind of neat thing about the air fryer, that one of the features I love on my air fryer is that I can check it at any time. So for example, that it has been in there for 5 minutes. So I can pop out my basket, get a look at my chips, kind of toss them around, mix them up so that they're getting evenly air fried, if you will, and then pop them back in. And the great thing about that air fryer, it remembers your setting for your temperature and the time. So you're not constantly have to, oh, how many minutes was it going the first time? So for example, when I turned it on to the chip level, which was a 400 degree, it sets for 20 minutes. So I can look at it when I see it has 15 minutes to go. I know that it's been in there 5 minutes. Makes it really easy to keep track of when you are, especially doing multiple things at one time. So I'm gonna let those finish up and then I will pop the cauliflower in when it comes out at the same temperature at the chip setting of 400 degrees. And again, it's going to run anywhere from 12 to 15 minutes. And I want to check the cauliflower again to see what desired texture you're going to get as your result. So I want to share with you my finished products. So here are my carrot chips, and I've mixed together some of the air fried. You'll see that they get dark, just as the potato chips that you often grab out of the bag, and they're kind of a little bit more brown. They will be very crispy, just like a chip, and they're very flavorful because the sweetness of the carrot really comes out. But you're going to just pop them in a small dish and share them. And then I also want to share with you, here's the finished buffalo cauliflower. This side is my air fryer. You'll notice a little bit darker, a little bit crispier. So the air fried cauliflower takes a little bit less time. Obviously, it's a little bit quicker because it's an airflow that's going around it versus just the baking. And then this side are the result of the oven baked cauliflower. So just a couple healthy, easy, simple, very few ingredients, inexpensive ways to provide munchies for an event, whether it be for ball games, whether it be for other gatherings that you might attend or family events. These 2 recipes will help keep your choices healthy and help you stay on track.
Hello, my name is Richard Purdon with OXU Extension for Adams County, Ohio. I'm the Ag and Natural Resource Educator and Community Development Educator for Adams County. And today I want to present on controlling autumn olive. So autumn olive is a non-native invasive species that is very prevalent in southern Ohio and really across all Ohio. So some background on autumn olive is in the mid-1800s, autumn olive was brought to the United States to provide food and shelter for wildlife, and also windbreaks and erosion control. It's also been used in the past as a decorative ornamental bush or a living landscape or a living fence. Autumn olive has a vigorous growth habit, allowing it to spread by both roots and seed. Underground modified stems, often called rhizomes, allow this shrub to progress in growth and spread very easily. Many times you'll see a mature autumn olive bush with younger sprouts circling that bush or around the circumference of that main bush. They are among the first woody species to bud out in the spring, so here we are in the middle of March. You could probably walk out into the wood lines or along the areas where autumn olive are growing and see the buds starting to form and small little leaves starting to sprout out. Autumn olive is commonly found along wood lines, fence rows, and fallow fields that are not cultivated for crops. So how to identify autumn olive? Autumn olive is pretty easily to identify when it's mature or when it's bloomed out, but during the dormant season, it's a little bit more challenging. But one of the best ways to identify autumn olive during the growing season is the silver underlining of the leaves. The leaves are usually egg in shaped, 3 to 4 inches in length. Flowers will be a light to yellowish color or light tan color. And usually the flowers will be in a bell-shaped fashion and usually emerge in late spring or early summer. So we're talking late June or the beginning of July. The fruit is 1/4 inch red, pink to red berries that look like little cherries on the tree. And oftentimes this gets confused with wild cherry trees. Some key identifiers is that young branches will have spikes on them. So when you're cutting or moving these trees, make sure you wear gloves because they are thorny, the younger branches. So here's a picture of the flower. The flowers are, as I said, kind of a bell-shaped flower. So if I grab my pointer here, you can see where the flower emerges out and kind of the silver texture of the leaf. And here's the berries. As you can see, they're in clusters. They often resemble small little cherries. Birds and other wildlife love to eat these, and it's also a common way that autumn olive spreads is when birds come and eat these cherries, they will consume the seed that's in the pith or in the inside, and then drop those seeds along the landscape. So how do I control it? So there's many different means of controlling autumn olive, but one thing in general is that it's not an easy task. Autumn olive is very prolific in growth and very resilient to a lot of these treatments. So constant treatment and scouting and determination and diligence will be needed to control this woody invasive species over time. But the 3 main courses of control is mechanical, chemical. This can be done through cutting and spraying, basal spraying, or foliar spraying. And cultural control, which would include crop rotation or different cultural practices that prevent these trees from even taking root or getting established. And today I want to talk a little bit about controlling autumn olive during the off season or during the winter season or late winter, early spring. So basically right now the autumn olive is in the dormant stage, but it is breaking dormancy here early March. We are in the first week of March here, and as you can see, we're starting to get some budding. And today I just want to talk about a little bit how we can control this invasive species, or this pretty hard to control species that's in Ohio and across most of our pastures and haylands. So there's different ways you can actually control autumn olive. There's herbicide, there's mechanical, and there's different ways to apply herbicides to autumn olive. One, we can use a chainsaw or pruning, but we'll be using a chainsaw today. Cut the autumn olive and then spraying the stump with a herbicide such as 2,4-D, Roundup, or even some dicamba products work very well. We can also do a basal spray, which is basically spraying on the top, let's say about 12 to 18 inches. So from the ground surface, 18 inches up, we can spray a herbicide such as dicamba or 2,4-D mixed with some diesel fuel for sticking purposes, or a crop oil or a surfactant of some sort that'll help it stick to the trunk. And that's another way we can actually kill the tree. Now it'll still be standing, but it'll kill it. Another way is we can actually do a cut on the trunk, so 18 inches up or so, about this high. We can do a cut right here and then spray into that trunk a herbicide. And that does effective control on controlling new growth and will eventually kill that tree. Okay, so we made our cut. So we want to make sure we get this cut flush and even. And also, we want to make sure that we spray that as soon as we cut it, because the wound or the cut is fresh, and autumn olive will actually have a tendency of scabbing, and that'll resist herbicides from being absorbed into the trunk or into the tree root system. So we got our herbicide here, and our mix of today is 2,4-D, dicamba, mixed together with some diesel fuel for a sticker and water. So we'll pump our sprayer up here. And we'll just take the sprayer and spray we kind of want to get around the trunk too, around the area, because autumn olive does have what we call rhizomes, which will sprout from the stump, or modified underground root or stems that will stem up all around that trunk. So the purpose in this is that this herbicide will eventually absorb into that trunk, into the root system, and kill the species that we're targeting here, which is autumn olive. And this can be done with other woody species or woody weed species too, the same concept. But it is a good method of control for autumn olive. So for smaller species, or smaller autumn olives, like this one, that's we can actually be able to kill this by just doing a basil spray, which, like I said earlier, it would go up about, you want to spray about a foot off the surface of the soil from the surface to about 12 to 18 inches high, and that'll absorb through the trunk of the younger plant. This is an easier way to kill this plant. When it's young, it'll kill quite rapidly, rather than when we let it get bigger, where it's a little bit more resistant to herbicides. So we want to make sure that we cover the base of the plant on all sides and get around all around the trunk with a good application of spray. So we'll take our spray wand here. And then come back in about a month, and if there's no greening or no budding, and as you can see, let me get a close-up here. This one here is already starting to shoot. Little buds. So this early, the 3rd day of March, and it's starting to green up. It won't be long. It'll be making little leaves, and it'll be off and growing before you know it. So, well, hopefully not this one since we sprayed it. So some common foliar herbicides that can be used on autumn olive are glyphosate, which is Roundup, or trade name or brand name of Roundup, at 2% solution of volume of water. Example of this is if you have a 1 gallon hand sprayer, you would need 2 1/3 of an ounce for 1 gallon of water. For a 25 gallon ATV or 4-wheeler sprayer or something of that nature, you would need 2 quarts of Roundup per 25 gallons of water. For 2,4-D or triclopyr, which is also commonly known as crossbow, a 1.5% solution or 2 ounces to 1 gallon of water is recommended. And imazapyr or Arsenal, shortly known as 1% solution at 1 to 1/3 ounce of water per 1 gallon of water is recommended. So herbicide choices for basil or stump applications, we can use about the same types of herbicides, but we want to add a petroleum product so that that herbicide will be absorbed and stick to the trunk of that plant. That way, if we get a rainfall event later in the season or later in the day after spraying or later in the week, that herbicide will stick onto that trunk or that stump as long as possible. So some common herbicides, you can also use glyphosate in this nature too at a 20% solution. So we want to increase the amount of volume of herbicide that we use in our solution rather than decrease, because the main goal is to have more herbicide absorbed through that plant's harder, thicker cell walls of the trunk, rather than leaves, which are thinner. During a foliar spray, we don't need to use as much herbicide. But for Roundup, we want a 20% solution alone, or 16 ounces to 1 gallon of water. For triclopyr or Garlon 4 Remedy, all those types of products, we want a 20% plus a 10% petroleum, because unlike Roundup, these products do not have a petroleum base. So we need something to help stick to that trunk. Also, 2,4-D or Tordon Placorium plus 2,4-D or Tordon 101 we want to mix a 1-to-1 solution with water. So in summary, autumn olive is a non-native invasive species that poses a threat to our native woodlands, wildlife habitat, and other areas. When this species becomes overabundant, it can actually become a problem for wildlife and also destroy the integrity of the environment. So we want to make sure that we maintain this invasive species and keep it from spreading to other areas. Early March, before the plant leaves out, is a great time to take advantage of basal spraying or cutting and spraying the stump. Make sure if you do cut and spray the stump, you spray it immediately, because autumn olive will heal, the stump will heal and prevent herbicides from being absorbed into the stump. When using a herbicide, make sure to read the label. The label is the law, so read it front to back and make sure that you stay protected while spraying these products by wearing the proper protection equipment. So here's some resources and some sources you can go to that has some good methods of control and good ideas on how to identify these weeds and other woody species that cause a threat to our woodlands too. If you have any questions on autumn olive or any ideas or any concerns, don't hesitate to give me a call, 937-544-2339. This is Richard Purden. Everybody have a good day.